All right, listen closely, because what you're about to hear, well, it's one of those impossible stories. The kind that makes you question everything you thought you knew about wealth, revenge, and the twisted nature of fate. Picture a world of gleaming chandeliers, silk gowns, and a secret so air hums with anticipation. 500 guests, dressed in their absolute finest, fan themselves with embossed programs in a magnificent ballroom. Crystal light fixtures drip from the ceiling like frozen tears, casting a brilliant glow on polished marble floors. A string quartet plays a soft, classical melody, a delicate counterpoint to the nervous chatter. Every detail screams opulence, wealth beyond measure. This is the wedding of Emma, the beloved daughter of billionaire Richard Thorne. And then, the doors at the far end of the ballroom creak open. All heads turn. Expectation hangs in the air, thick and sweet. But it's not the bride. Instead, a lone figure shuffles in, a man 62 years old, with shoulders a little too stooped, and a threadbare, ill-fitting suit that seems to absorb the light around him rather than reflect it. This is Harold, the janitor. He walks slowly, his gaze sweeping over the crowd, a flicker of something unreadable in his tired eyes. The suit, a cheap polyester blend, is clearly department store clearance, a stark contrast to the designer finery arrayed before him. A hush falls, not of reverence, but of confusion. Noses wrinkle imperceptibly, whispers start, like rustling leaves in an autumn wind. Who is this man, and why is he here? Harold's son, Daniel, stands at the altar, impeccably dressed. His best man's smile, usually so bright, wavers. He sees his father, the stark incongruity of his appearance against the backdrop of unimaginable wealth. A blush creeps up Daniel's neck. He knows this feeling well, this quiet embarrassment, the weight of his father's humble life. But today it feels amplified, 1,000 times stronger. Emma, radiant in her exquisite white gown, glances over her shoulder. Her expression softens immediately. A genuine smile, full of warmth, beams at Harold. She knows him, respects him. She knows he's here for his son, for her future husband. Her love isn't about status or money. It's about the person. And in Harold she sees the man who raised the brilliant, kind Daniel. But then a sharp, imperious voice pierces the air, cutting through the string music and polite murmurs. "Excuse me." Victoria Thorne, Emma's mother, wealth and Botox, steps forward, her diamond-encrusted hand rising. Her eyes, sharp and predatory, fix on Harold. The air instantly thickens with tension. "You, sir," Victoria's voice is a perfectly modulated affront. "Are you lost? This is a private event. The wedding of my daughter, Emma Thorne, to Daniel, whoever he is. This is not for staff." A collective gasp ripples through the crowd. The insult hangs heavy, a poison cloud in the opulent room. Harold stops mid-stride, his head bowed slightly. Harold doesn't respond immediately. He just stands there, a quiet, stoic target. Daniel's jaw clenches. The blood rushes to his ears. He wants to leap down, to defend his father, to scream that this man, this janitor, is his father, and he has every right to be here. But Emma's hand, a gentle pressure on his arm, holds him back, a silent plea for restraint. Richard Thorne, Emma's father, a man whose presence usually commands immediate respect, now steps beside Victoria. He's a mountain of a man, not in stature, but in sheer force of personality. His eyes, cold and calculating, narrow as he assesses Harold. A flicker, quick as lightning, passes through his gaze. A flicker of recognition, or just disdain. "Victoria, darling, perhaps he's a delivery man gone astray," Richard says, his voice dripping with condescension, loud enough for his inner circle to hear and snicker. Harold flinches, a barely perceptible tremor. The humiliation is palpable. 500 pairs of eyes, all trained on him, an uncomfortable spotlight. Emma, her face now a mask of furious indignation, takes a step forward. Her white gown rustles, a defiant whisper. "Mother, father, how dare you? This is Harold, Daniel's father. He is our honored guest." Her voice, usually soft, now rings with a surprising strength, echoing through the stunned ballroom. The music falters. Victoria scoffs, a sound like dry leaves skittering across pavement. Honored guest, Emma darling, you must be mistaken. This man, he looks like he cleans the toilets at the hotel. We specifically asked for a guest list to be strictly adhered to. Her eyes flash fire at Daniel, as if this whole janitor-father situation is his fault. Harold finally raises his head. Slowly, deliberately. His eyes, though tired, hold a surprising depth. He looks directly at Victoria, then at Richard. A small, almost imperceptible smile plays on his lips. It's not happy. It's almost knowing, eerie. A shiver runs down the spine of more than one guest. It's quite all right, Emma, Harold says, his voice raspy, a little quiet. I understand not everyone is accustomed to humble company. He gestures vaguely at his suit, a self-deprecating shrug that only further inflames Victoria. She looks like she might spontaneously combust. Richard, though, his eyes are still locked on Harold. The initial flicker of disdain has been replaced by a slow-burning intensity. A muscle ticks in his jaw. He looks at Harold as if trying to recall a distant, uncomfortable memory. But he can't quite place it. Just a nagging familiarity, like a forgotten song. Well, now that that's settled, Victoria declares, pulling Richard slightly away. Let's have the bride. The music, please. The string quartet, flustered, restarts their melody, but the cheerful tune feels discordant, out of sync with the lingering tension. Harold, with a nod to Emma, quietly finds an empty seat at the very back, almost out of sight. Daniel watches him, a knot of conflicting emotions twisting in his gut. Embarrassment, yes, but also a fierce protective love, and a strange, unsettling premonition. The wedding proceeds. Emma glides down the aisle, her beauty captivating, her smile a little subdued. Her mind is still on Harold, on the shame her parents inflicted. Daniel meets her at the altar, eyes full of adoration and a shared understanding of this challenging family dynamic. The vows are exchanged, the rings slipped on, the ceremony is beautiful, despite the earlier disruption. But the humiliation continues into the reception. The guests, now seated at their elegant tables, whisper behind their hands. The janitor's son and his family are the new scandal. Victoria makes sure Harold is seated at a table so far from the bridal party, it's almost in the kitchen. Daniel fumes, but Emma again squeezes his hand, her gaze telling him, not now. Daniel's blood still boils. His father, the man who sacrificed everything for him, was treated like dirt. He looks across the vast ballroom at his father, sitting alone, a small figure swallowed by the grand surroundings. He feels a tightening in his chest. A fierce resolution begins to form within him. Never again. He will ensure his father is never humiliated again. But Harold is not the man he appears to be. Not entirely. Flashback 30 years ago. The year is 1994. The world of technology is exploding. The internet is a fledgling giant, ready to devour the world. And at the forefront of this revolution is a young man, vibrant, brilliant, brimming with ambition. His name is Harold. Young Harold. Young Harold, just 30 years old, stands in a sleek, glass-walled office overlooking a bustling city skyline. He wears a sharp suit, a confident smile. His company, Nexus Tech, is the hottest startup on the West Coast. He's a visionary, an innovator, a genius who saw the future before anyone else. He was the definition of success, a billionaire before the term was even commonplace. Beside him, laughing, a hand clapped on his shoulder, is a man of similar age, equally well-dressed. This is his best friend, his co-founder, his trusted confidant. His name is Richard. They are inseparable, building an empire together, fueled by late nights, pizza, and a shared dream. They were a force of nature. Their company, Nexus Tech, is set to go public. The IPO is weeks away. It promises to be one of the biggest in history. The buzz is immense. Reporters hound them. Investors fawn over them. Young Harold and young Richard are on the precipice of unimaginable wealth, boundless power. They have the world at their fingertips. One evening, after a celebratory dinner, young Harold confides in Richard. "I'm worried, old friend," he says, a rare note of unease in his voice. The market is volatile. I'm thinking of delaying the IPO just for a few months. Weather the storm. He trusts Richard implicitly, shares all his fears, all his strategies. Young Richard listens, his expression understanding, reassuring. He nods, seems to agree. He even offers advice, seemingly in support of Harold's cautious approach. Prudent Harold. Very prudent. Always trust your gut. Harold feels a wave of relief. His best friend agrees. He's not alone in his concerns. But what Harold doesn't know is that Richard has been meeting in secret, with powerful investors, with ambitious rivals. He's been sowing seeds of doubt, spinning webs of deceit. He sees an opportunity, a way to seize everything for himself. The greed, a dark beast, has taken root deep within him. He wants it all. Days later, the news breaks. An emergency board meeting has been called. Young Harold walks in, confused. He's met with cold stares. Richard, strangely, is missing. Then the lawyer speaks, presenting documents. Harold is being ousted. Accusations of mismanagement, of erratic behavior are leveled against him. Fabricated, all of them. Harold is stunned. He fights, he argues, he shows evidence, but it's too late. The votes are in. Richard has played his hand. He's bought out key board members, manipulated the narrative. Harold is out, stripped of his creation, his life's work. The IPO proceeds, but under Richard's sole leadership. The betrayal is a knife to the heart. His best friend, his brother, has stolen his empire. The aftermath is brutal. The stress, the shock, the betrayal, it all takes its toll. Harold's wife, Daniel's mother, a gentle and loving woman, falters. Her health, already fragile, deteriorates rapidly. She succumbs to the grief, to the crushing weight of their lost future. Harold is left broken, devastated. His kingdom gone, his love gone. All he has left is his infant son, Daniel, a tiny, innocent face looking up at him, unknowing of the tragedy that has unfolded. Harold looks at his son, and a new resolve hardens in his heart. He will protect this boy. He will raise him away from the corrupting influence of vast wealth. He will teach him humility, honesty, resilience. He will ensure Daniel becomes a good man, regardless of their circumstances. So Harold disappears. He sells off his remaining meager assets, enough to keep them afloat. He changes his name, his identity. He moves to a small town. He takes a job that requires no ambition, no prestige, a job where he can be anonymous, invisible. He becomes a janitor. He raises Daniel with love, with lessons that money can't buy. He watches as Nexus Tech, now Thorn Global, flourishes, becoming a multinational behemoth under Richard's ruthless management. The irony burns, a constant ember in his soul. 30 years pass. Harold lives a quiet life. He never tells Daniel about his past, about the stolen empire, about the boy's father being a tech visionary. He wants Daniel to grow up unburdened by that history, uncorrupted by that kind of ambition. He just wants his son to be happy. And today, Daniel is getting married to Emma, the billionaire's daughter, the daughter of Richard Thorne. The circle, inexplicably, has closed. Back at the wedding reception, the speeches begin. Groomsmen, bridesmaids, cracking jokes, sharing anecdotes. Daniel's speech is heartfelt, thanking Emma for her love, praising his father. He looks at Harold, a brave, defiant look. My father taught me everything I know about integrity, about hard work, about love. He might not be a man of great wealth, but he is a man of immense character. I am proud to be his son. A few guests, genuinely touched, applaud. Then it's Harold's turn. There's a noticeable awkwardness as he approaches the microphone. Victoria and Richard exchange a look of thinly veiled disgust. What could he possibly say? He certainly won't be wishing them generational prosperity. The room falls silent, not out of respect, but out of grim anticipation of what fresh humiliation might unfold. Harold takes a deep breath. His voice, still a little raspy, fills the vast hall. Thank you, Daniel, Emma. I wish you both a lifetime of happiness. He pauses, his gaze sweeping over the assembled guests, then settling, finally, on Richard Thorne. Richard, whose face is now etched with a deeper degree of confusion. Something is nagging at him. I haven't always been a janitor, Harold says, his voice gaining a quiet resonance. A ripple of polite, disbelieving laughter breaks out. Victoria rolls her eyes dramatically. Harold holds up a hand, silencing them. No, truly, many, many years ago, I was a different man, a man with a dream, a man who built an empire. The laughter dies, a few scattered whispers. What is he doing? Has he gone mad? Daniel shifts uneasily. Emma looks at Harold, her brow furrowed, a mix of concern and curiosity. Richard, however, is now staring. His comfortable, arrogant facade is cracking. The memory, the vague familiarity, starts to coalesce. Harold pulls a worn leather attaché case from beneath his table, a case no one noticed him carry in. It looks ancient, out of place. He clicks it open, slowly, deliberately. From within he produces a series of old, faded photographs. He holds them up to a cameraman, already hired by a keen-eyed journalist sensing a scoop, to project onto the large screens flanking the stage. The first photo flashes up. A young Harold, vibrant and beaming, shaking hands with a younger, equally vibrant Richard. The logo of Nexus Tech emblazoned on a banner behind them. A collective murmur rises. Richard Thorne's face goes utterly, frighteningly white. Victoria drops her champagne flute. It shatters on the floor. This, Harold says, his voice now strong, unwavering, was me, 30 years ago. As you can see, I was quite different. And this man, my trusted friend, my co-founder, he gestures to young Richard in the photo. This is Richard Thorne. The silence that follows is deafening. You could hear a pin drop in the expansive ballroom. Harold continues, pulling out more documents. This is the original incorporation agreement for Nexus Tech. My signature, Richard Thorne's signature. This is the patent for our core technology. My name is on it. And this, he holds up a final, particularly ancient-looking contract, is the agreement where Richard Thorne, through a series of fraudulent maneuvers and blatant betrayal, stripped me of my ownership, of my company, of my life's work. Panic erupts at the main table. Richard Thorne, his face contorted with rage and fear, lunges forward. This is a lie. He's a con man. Arrest him. But before he can reach Harold, a new figure steps onto the stage. A stern, impeccably dressed woman in a power suit. I wouldn't advise that, Mr. Thorne, she says, her voice calm, authoritative. I am Miss Evelyn Reed, and I represent Harold's estate. Estate? Victoria shrieks, her voice bordering on hysteria. Evelyn Reed calmly explains, Mr. Thorne here, she points at Harold, was legally ousted under duress and fraudulent pretenses. We have spent decades meticulously compiling evidence, witnesses, sworn affidavits, even a hidden clause in a minor partnership agreement Mr. Thorne overlooked. It proves he was the rightful founder and owner. Furthermore, Evelyn continues, her gaze piercing Richard, who now looks like a cornered animal. We have documented every penny, every acquisition, every shareholder dividend, every gain, every single dime Nexus Tech, now Thorne Global, has made since its inception. And with 30 years of interest and market growth, that stolen empire, it now rightfully belongs to Harold. The entire ballroom descends into chaos. Gasps, the sound of camera shutters clicking frantically. Journalists who had dismissed Harold earlier are now scrambling, their eyes wide with disbelief. Daniel, his mouth agape, looks at his father, then at Richard. The pieces of his life, his father's quiet sacrifices, suddenly click into place with stunning, devastating clarity. The current estimated value, Evelyn states, her voice raising to cut through the din, of Harold's recovered assets, the rightfully returned ownership of Thorne Global, is approximately $12 billion. The number hangs in the air, a staggering, impossible weight. Richard Thorne collapses into his chair, a defeated, broken man. Victoria stares, utterly aghast, unable to comprehend the sudden catastrophic reversal of fortune. Harold, the janitor, the man in the cheap suit, now stands before them, a newly reinstated billionaire, richer than Richard ever was. He looks at Emma, whose eyes are filled with tears, not of sorrow, but of awe and a profound sense of justice. He then looks at Daniel, his son, his face a mixture of shock, pride, and overwhelming love. Harold then turns back to Richard, who can only stammer incoherently. He holds up a hand, silencing the erupting questions and angry accusations. Richard, Harold says, his voice soft but firm. For Emma's sake, and for the sake of starting this new family chapter, I forgive you. The legal process will run its course, and what is rightfully mine will be returned. But I will not seek to utterly destroy what you have left, for Emma and Daniel. Emma, tears streaming down her face, rushes to Harold, embracing him tightly. Thank you, Harold, she whispers, her voice choked with emotion. Daniel, finally understanding the depth of his father's sacrifice, the silent burden he'd carried, wraps his arms around them both. The wedding, once a symbol of disparity, has become a celebration of truth, justice, and unlikely love. And so the greatest wedding scandal in history instantly became the greatest wedding triumph. The story of the janitor billionaire and the stolen empire goes viral, dominating headlines worldwide. Harold, the humble man, had not just won back his fortune. He had won back his dignity, his legacy, and shown the world that true wealth isn't measured in dollars, but in character, silence, and the unwavering love for family. And his son Daniel finally knew the incredible, unbelievable truth about his father, realizing he was the inheritor not just of a fortune,